All right, we're live. You are listening and watching an episode of Transparency and Merit. My name's Joe. Do not allow movie theaters. I forgot the rest of the title.
Gosh, well, let's not end the movie theater. Let's not.
Let this not be the end of movie theaters. Brian,
Let me take a look and see what we've called this puppy before we continue on even further.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Theaters,
Delicious things to eat. The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
yes.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Yeah, Joe, don't let the movie theaters die. And
You can't do it. Don't.
I mean,
do it.
Joe, do you remember like the first was there any movie theater that was close to like your neighborhood movie theater that you used to go to as a kid?
Oh yeah. Yes, there was. It was the Holiday Theater in Canoga Park.
Did the floor ever get sticky?
Oh yeah.
Now, someone at 8:05 called this the greatest show so far because they've been waiting for over an hour. I don't know what's going on with the streaming line. I think a lot of people are on YouTube right now. I mean, our broadcast. What's that?
I hope everyone got their popcorn.
I think a lot of people, well, yeah, get your popcorn, I mean, we had to wait an hour before we were able to stream because it was just, I think a lot of people are out there streaming. A lot of people are using YouTube right now, and I'm thinking that is an issue. But, for me, Joe, when I think about it, movies started in the early 1900s with folding chairs. I mean, Warner Brothers was, before it was a movie studio, it was a movie theater, and they bought out. I believe they bought out an abandoned shoe store. And they just had they just had folding chairs. And because they had to find product, they started making films. And before the antitrust laws came in, movie studios owned the movie theater chains. And then they had independent chains. And after, I think, the 1947 or 48 antitrust laws, that kind of ended, and then then there was all just independent movie chains, and I think a lot of I mean, if we go into the history of movies, the movies when they first came out, the thing that they hurt was live theater, the plays, because a lot of plays would go throughout the nation and travel, but companies found that it was much cheaper to basically put film in a can and just reproduce it and put it all throughout, just package it throughout the nation and throughout the world. And that really put a damper in live theater, in the plays. It's still around, and I'm wondering if because of Netflix and because geez, yeah, because of Netflix and all these other like live streaming movie sites, that's gonna. I mean, that was kind of a death knell. I mean, television became a death knell in the movies. Um, I mean, I guess radio may have dampened it, and then television came along, and that hurt it. Cable, and then video and VCRs came around, and now cable and all these streaming services have also hurt the movies. And now, like, I mean, the independent films that would be shown at the movie theater is almost completely passe. You know, Midnight Cowboy, if something like Midnight Cowboy is made today, it's primarily probably put on a streaming service and not shown in the movie theater, which is kind of a shame to me. You know, it's just like, and maybe I'm just old hat. I'm close to boomer age, not quite a boomer, but I'm close to that age, and I think that these quirky little independent films that I've really loved and enjoyed are basically something that are kind of passe to see on the big screen. It's all like big budget, a lot of big budget superhero, Marvel, end of the world kind of films, but the more quiet, subtle films, those are the ones.
What was that 20? What was the movie theater that you went to when you were, the independent, the small theater near you?
There was the Palms. There were 3 of them.
I've been to the Palms. I remember that.
Really?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I went.
Wait, how did you go? But that was in LA. How did you get down? What made?
My family had a home. We had a family home in your city, in Culver City, and so we used to go out to Culver City and get Tito's and go to the movie theater.
And you went to we probably sat next to each other. We were like in front or behind each other. I bet. But you were talking the whole time, and I told you to shut up, little punk.
Yeah, I was a couple years younger, so you probably would have wanted to strangle me.
Yeah. Just, but so you remember the Palms and do you remember the Culver Theater?
I don't only in pictures, but I remember the Palms Theater.
Do you remember the Peralta?
No, I don't.
So you remember? But actually, for me, the Palms Theater was actually my favorite.
Yeah, I think one of my aunts also would go there all the time.
It was just it was really nice and quaint, and then they built the post office over it, and it's kind of sad. And yeah, I mean, but and that was what theaters did Boss Ross take me to? Well, I mean, obviously he took me to our local family theater. I mean, we lived in LA at the time, and we lived close to Culver City. My mother worked at Brantman, which was close in Culver City, but we went to primarily we went to the Palms, and then of course anytime there was a big premiere. It would always, okay, that's stupid, but it would always, premieres would always, we'd either go to Westwood, we would usually go to Westwood, and sometimes, I don't know why, but my father would go to the dank pit of Hollywood, and Hollywood was a real, it turned into the dregs. By that time, there was just a lot of homeless teens and prostitutes and the rest of the filth that but as I look back on it, it was kind of exciting as a kid to a degree. the grime and the scum was kind of interesting because Westwood was really clean cut, and then Hollywood was just the pits, and Hollywood still is kind of the pits, but they've glammed it up a little bit, which I kind of like. But when I was a kid, I enjoyed Westwood far more than Hollywood. Hollywood was far better. And for a while, 18th Street, the 18th Street gang had, basically taken over Hollywood, and then people got pissed off, and there was an injunction on that gang, and they kind of cleaned that area up from the dregs. But the
Holiday Theater that was near my house was 25 cents. And,
oh, you must have been in heaven.
And you could see 2 movies usually.
Yeah.
You wanted to stick around for the double feature.
Wait, are you 25 cents?
25 cents. But then they changed, they raised the price, they doubled the price to 50 cents. And then soon thereafter, they became the dollar theater. And that all happened within a short period of time. But when I was a kid, it felt like it was 25 cents forever.
Yeah. I remember for a long time, first run films in Westwood, it was like $5 for, that was $5 for adults and $2.50 for children. And it was
now, when you were a late teenager and into your 20s, where did you go?
Primarily Westwood, and then of course
had to go to Westwood. That was even Valley boys like myself would make the trek to Westwood Village to go see the movies there.
Were there more first run films there? I mean, in Westwood than there were in the Valley?
No, we got everything, but there was always a much better scene going on around Westwood.
Well, it's a college town, so there were a lot more college people. I personally didn't care, honestly, about the scene to a degree. I always cared about, like, for me, it was like getting to see the movie before everybody else, and that was, you had to go to Westwood or Hollywood for that. I remember I saw the movie Southern Comfort in the Egyptian, and I remember my father was, this is at the Egyptian. And it was like now it's a big revival house, but my father, it was a dump when my father and I and my friends went to it in the 80s. I think it was 81, maybe 82. I think it was 81. We saw Southern Comfort, and I remember there was a group in the back that was basically token up, smoking weed. It's a great film, by the way, but the Egyptian theater, it didn't impress me. And my father was like, "Yeah, this had turned into a dump." I guess now we're going to look at abandoned film theater.
Yeah, we're going to go into the dumps. But we've been to a lot of closed movie theaters just to kind of get a look at what's going on, and it's really hard to get them to open the doors for any reason. For some reason, once they're closed, they turn into this.
Oh yeah. Now I can't hear this guy that well. I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. Which is okay. I mean, but basically, this theater almost looks burned out. By the way, Joe.
Yeah, you might want to talk through it anyways. You don't need to listen to this guy.
So so this is the concession stand, and it's absolutely burned out. And this is a vintage movie theater in the 1970s.
Well, no, it was in the 1940s.
Okay. I guess it went away in the 19 and popcorn 60 cents, soda and candy $65. Those prices were never, the prices for the movie theaters, the concession stand sometimes was always a little bit higher than the movie itself. And I always, and one of the things I think people want to keep away from is water fountains at this time, and I think they should keep away from water fountains in general. It is not good to drink from them. It's actually very bad. That's where you can catch disease.
What kind of disease can you catch from a drinking fountain?
Well, I mean, other people use that. Babies use that, and it's just not good. But yeah, we're looking here right now.
So this is a little bit like your apartment. Nice.
Yeah. I don't. This does not look, Joe. This does not look like a movie theater at all. I put this to you. Just we were doing this like really fast, like a lot of movies, like a lot of these low budget movies are, and yeah, it's just this is the projection booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then that's where they show it at, and yeah, not like I said. This is now, Joe. What was your go-to snack when you went to the movies? Like, did you have a go-to snack back in the day, and do you have a go-to snack then?
Well, first, are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing you fine.
Okay. I always liked gummy bears and Raisinets. Wasn't too big on popcorn.
Raisinets are pretty good. I like Goobers. I love Red Vine. Sometimes I'd chew the two halves of the Red Vine and make that into a little candy straw for my Coke. And then I'd have a big buttered popcorn. This is pre-diabetic and pre-high blood pressure.
You were just setting the stage.
I could just, I was setting the stage for my a lot of my health problems, and I would just gobble it down. Sometimes I noticed that there would be people who would bring, a little flask bottle of whiskey and put that into their Coke.
Do a show, we challenge her to do it. Entertain us, Debbie. You could do it.
Entertain us, and also let me and did you ever have any problems at the movies, like almost fights or someone who wouldn't shut the hell up during the movie, where you just said, have you ever chewed anyone out for bloviating in a film while you were watching it?
Yeah, there were a couple times I got a little upset.
Did you actually say something to them?
Yeah, a couple times. Oh, not a lot, but I remember there were times where I got so frustrated that I had to, hey,
my brother's done that a few times. I've never said anything to a moviegoer. I have been pissed when people are talking during the movie theater. I've been, and the most pissed I get is when people bring an infant or a toddler to a movie. I'm like, you know what? This is not your living room. And this guy right here, I mean, what is he showing here? Like, yes, I do hate you, Nick, but shut up for a minute. This guy right here looks like he's going to build his own log cabin, not a movie theater, but a log cabin. Is this actually a movie theater right here that he's showing? A movie theater out in the woods? You know what? Yeah. If a movie theater was out there, Joe, I would want to go to it. Is this a movie theater?
That looks amazing. That'd be so fun.
Dude, now that I would go to.
Yeah.
Build it and they will come out in a, is this a movie theater, man? Oh my God. Now this looks just like a barn. It doesn't look like a movie theater. Look at the horse. Is that horse crap? in a movie theater?
We need to go buy this place.
We need to revive it and fix it up. We need a movie just like out in the desert. Just something just out in the desert. This is our movie theater. You go out there and you have this would like if this is you know what? This would be like the ultimate movie going experience. If we're out like in some wilderness, some wilderness park where nature and maybe, those who want to toke up and light up, because this is out in the wilderness. Maybe, bring a flask of whiskey. And this looks like, but I don't think, is this a movie theater, Joe? Is a band, let's see, creepy, a band. This is actually, is this, what is the name of it? Is this video still an abandoned movie theater house?
Yes.
That is amazing. Look at where that is. That's just in the middle of nowhere. I've never been to a theater like that, but by God, I would love to be just out in the desert or out in the woods of hatred. I would just love to build.
I would love to be there, enjoying the harmony, the darkness. Imagine checking out a real creepy horror film or any kind of midnight movie late at night.
You have to travel, out in the middle of nowhere. You just go out and you just travel out in the hills or something like that. That would be amazing. Out in the dustbin of hell, and you're going to see a movie because and sometimes we'll have revival nights on that. That would just for me be absolutely amazing. When my father was a kid, they had the matinees, and it was like 2 double features, and in between that they had a newsreel, and they had about 3 or 4 serials, and then about 4 or 5 cartoons. And it was like from I think it was like from 11 o'clock to about 6. And then, then they got to to the regular audience. It was on Saturday. They, the parents were sick of the kids, and they just put them in the theater for the whole day. And some of them would show Westerns, and kids would they'd buy their cap guns.
Right.
And, their cap guns. And then they had to leave, because, like the Western, like when you went to the bar, you always left your gun at the bar. Well, at this one, you had to leave your cap gun at the concession stand, and it was,
you used to go to. I can remember some theaters like this.
Yeah. Well, this was before my time. This is my father's time. You'd leave your, and the guy would be dressed up as an old time bartender, and the kids would all be decked out in cowboy attire, and it was something. A little thing of memory lane of my old man. The one thing that he loved about movies. He was a real front row kid when it came to Westerns back in those days. And big John Ford fan, more of a John Ford fan than he was a John Wayne fan. But he also loved the gangster films too. And of course, movie theaters did not play up the gangster genre like they did the Western genre, because the gangster genre was a little less wholesome, and they didn't want the youth to emulate it. I guess you could keep your firearms at the concession stand there too, but even then they made far less of them. In the 30s, they made quite a few of them, and then by the late 1930s, they made a lot less, and they were a lot, and by the 1940s, when my dad, was into his, because he was born in 1940, they, it was more of an adult fare, a film. The gangsters were more of a film noir kind of thing, and it talked about things like extramarital affairs and double dealing, and it was more of an adult story wise. I mean, with the exception of White Heat, which was completely, like at that time, was completely adult themed, and the Legion of Decency at that time didn't want kids to see it, and my father actually had to lie to my parents to say that he wouldn't see the movie White Heat, and that came out, I think, in 1949. But my father, one of the things he liked to do when he got out of school was actually go to the movies. I think one of the movie theaters was the Fox Venice. He actually ran a kid down into the restrooms. He ran after a kid who had assaulted him. A group of Pachucos had assaulted my father at a dance, and he caught one of them when he was by himself, and the guy ran away, and he ran like into the bathroom stalls, and my father kicked the door down and gave him the what for, and the guy was saying, "Hey man, it wasn't me." And he said, "Like hell, you beat me up with the rest of those guys. Now you take your punishment." So yeah, we're looking at this theater, and this kind of looks like like one of the multiplexes, and that's what happened around the 1980s. Multiplexes, and then by the 1990s, multiplexes became the thing. I remember though when IMAX started to become a big deal too. Seeing things in the IMAX format. I think they've done a few. I don't know if they've done how many classic films, if they've done any classic films in the IMAX format.
So here's a. I'm gonna hear myself.
So you're gonna try to hear yourself, yeah.
All right. Here's
Okay, as we look.
You need to turn.
Oh, do I need?
In 1923, it was originally called the Lee Bard Playhouse. It was a vaudeville type theater. Right across the street, the movie Intolerance, C.W. Griffith's Intolerance. And that set of Intolerance had a lot of the decor that's in this building. The first movie here was a short section. The child actress was Baby Peggy. The name of the movie was Clips. About 18 years ago, we had Baby Peggy, who was 91 at the time. I said, come and put her handprints out there. She said to the auditorium.
The sound seems to be coming in kind of bad.
Way back in 1923.
It should be coming through okay. I don't know why you're not. Something's going on with your sound. I'm not sure what you're doing over there, but because I'm hearing myself twice. But now this is just some old LA movie theaters. It's actually the history of Hollywood landmark, the Vista Theater. I don't know if you remember the Vista Theater.
I certainly do. I mean, my father gave me sort of and that's the Egyptian theater right there, where I saw Southern Comfort, and they've rebuilt that up magnificent.
It's incredible. There's a silent movie theater in LA, and I'm wondering, have you ever been to that? It's over off of it's by Fairfax, by the Farmers Market.
No, and Joe, now did you ever go? Because there's a New Art, and where my father my father used to take me to two revival houses when we would go to the movies, because he also one week he would take me to see a new feature, the other week he would take me to see a classic movie theater. I don't know if you could Google. It was the New Art and the Bing Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bing Theater, though, the one thing is you couldn't have, it was kind of like a museum kind of thing, and you couldn't have any popcorn or any, they didn't sell concessions at all at the Bing Theater, and it was, you know.
BING?
Yeah, I think it's BING, the Bing Theater. I think it was called the Bing, and that was near the Theater of Modern Art. And then there was the New Art. Do you remember that one, Joe? The New Art?
Yeah, I do. I do remember the New Art.
But it was just, you know, like I said, I saw. What did I see? What movies did I see there? I saw The Asphalt Jungle there. I saw. I'm trying. It was a Humphrey Bogart film, and I'm trying to think of the movie that I saw the film. I actually saw. God, not my mind is going, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you tonight.
I almost want to Google Humphrey Bogart, but it was Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart, Edward G. Robinson. Someone help me out here. You know, I gotta stop. But by the way, my fasting, I didn't eat until about 1 o'clock, actually 3 to 4 o'clock today. So I'm getting better at my fasting. It's still a work in progress, and my appetite and how to control that and what I can do to better control my appetite. But I'm Key Largo.
Okay.
And John Huston actually was at the Bing, and he had won a bet. I forget whom he was gambling with, but he had won a bet with I forget the group he won, but about the Immaculate Conception. And people think that the Immaculate Conception is that Mary, it was the non, like there was no, like, basically it was a, that no sexual intercourse took place for the birth of Christ, but actually was that Mary was born without sin. That's it. The Bing Theater of Los Angeles. You scroll down, that's it. I think it's Leo S. Bing Theater of Los Angeles. That's the theater, I believe. I could be completely wrong, as I recall. And you know what? That's it. That is the theater. And is it still there, Joe? Or has it?
I think that's an old picture. That's from 19. Wait, let's see here. I don't know if it's still there.
Well, it opened. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, revival houses. I think in the early to mid 1960s when they started to kind of flourish, and they started showing Humphrey Bogart films, and
so
a lot of the younger.
How did you go? Dang, I'm hearing myself so many times. I hear myself think. When was the last time you made it to the theater?
Probably over 30 years ago. I went there in the 80s, and I think the last film I saw there was like Beau Geste. And I forget. Sometimes we'd even see a double feature. I saw Ivanhoe. I don't think, and we'd occasionally go to like the Beverly Cinema and other places, but primarily the two places that we would go to for revival houses were the Bing Theater and the New Art. I don't know if the New Art shows though the classics anymore like it does. But by the way, is the Bing Theater still around, Joe? Is that still, or is that no longer? I wonder.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding any real good information, but I think it's maybe still stands. Yeah, here's the theater's entrance in 2018, right here, the Bing Theater. So it's still there.
Yeah.
This is the lobby.
And it was kind of like, the truth is it was really kind of regal, but like I said, they didn't have a concession stand, and the theaters were not as cushy as I remember, but I wonder if people still go to it. Just but like I said, I believe that revival houses.
I've been
came
there
about-
once. I've been
Yeah.
there once, and it was for a crazy presentation. It was for a presentation of Xena, Princess Warrior. Don't ask me why I went to it. I can't remember, but it was a weird thing. But it was at the Bing.
Well, Debbie said the African Queen, and she also corrected my grammar, saying it's not to whom, it's with who. So, of course, I would have Debbie, if we were in high school together, to wear my Letterman jacket. She would have to write all my papers because, yeah. Anyway,
Not so sure. Anyway, I think that's either or.
yeah. Well, either way.
For
And then
whom
there was also the New Art, and at times we would see the more like adult fare with the New Art. I saw the Wild Bunch, and I saw Cross of Iron. And for me, the movies of the 70s, the movies of the late 1960s and the 70s, I believe they were the best, the most thoughtful films made. And maybe I'm just old hat, but that's just me. I think that movies got really honest at that time, and there was a sense of realism that I don't think we see today. Today, films have become very politically correct, and you cannot do things today that you could do back then. And it's kind of unfortunate.
That's a total revival. Some rich people came around and restored all the beautiful theaters. Are people really going to be frequenting these places? Not anymore.
Well, I'll tell you something, Joe. The Egyptian has been rebuilt, and people go there quite often for films. The revival houses. I mean,
We're talking about right in the heart of Hollywood, also. Right?
Yeah. And by the way, I didn't, in Turner Classic Movies, I got to say this. I never, you know what I mean? And I learned something from Turner Classic Movies. I never knew that there was more than, I knew that there was, I never knew that there were 3 versions of the Maltese Vulcan. I never knew that there was, I think there was like 3 versions of M, the German film M with Peter Lorre.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. I actually tweeted to you I think it was the 1953 version or the 1950. It might be the 1950 version of M. And I tweeted that to you. It's rather interesting. It's a rather low budget film, but it was really rather well done. I kind of liked it. And one of the things I've been doing is just wasting time watching and because there's nothing to do. You can't go out. I mean, and the movie theaters are completely closed. And I hope it comes back. I hope this virus ends quickly, and I hope this virus is not the death knell of the movie theater. Because, yeah, 1951. And that, by the way, Joe, it is really, the stylized filmmaking and the camera work is still pretty damn good. I mean, you look at that shot, it's still, I mean, I'm a sucker for film noir. And you just look at the beginning of that film, and
Yeah.
I think maybe at some point we'll do a whole thing on film noir
It's gonna,
and the gangster film and film noir.
I will check out that link and have a watch.
Oh yeah, it's a. Did you ever see the original German version of him, by the way?
No, actually, I did not. I probably should see that. I'd probably really like that.
Oh yeah, it's quite different, and we're going over.
I did see last night. I watched Emmanuel Hannibal. Great movie.
Yeah, I think that at some point we might want to go over our top 10 cannabis themed movies. Our themes were movies where people lit up, and they were strongly they were either influenced by cannabis culture, or they had a scene where they are toking it up and lighting it up. I think it would be interesting. One of my favorites, I don't know if it's my favorite, but is Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, yeah.
That had some great toking in it. And I think that inspired a lot of Gen X tokers. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. I think that was, that was right there, right there in the frame. That and Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and then what was that other Valley Girl? Another one. That was,
Yeah. They were all, yeah.
Nicolas Cage's here.
Yes. And all the Cheech and Chong films. I mean, the original, to me, Officer Stadenko.
Oh yeah.
Just
I watched the whole thing on Cheech and Chong. It was remember the old Hollywood Story, Cheech and Chong.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The E Hollywood Story, and it was kind of cheesy, but you did get to see like it was just an enormous, like they went from these kind of like stand-up comedians to like just in every household in America.
Yeah.
If not the world.
Yeah.
I think they were worldwide. So yeah.
Oh yeah. I saw them first in the drive-in. I saw them with. There was a double feature, that and the movie. It was right after the movie. I don't know if you remember or have heard of this one, Little Darlings, with Christy McNichol.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. And I don't even know why that was R. I don't even think they had the F word in that film. But that's the one thing that's completely gone in a lot of places is the drive-in. I don't know. Debbie's here listening. I don't even know if they have the drive-in in Dallas. Because there's none, and it's not whom he is gambling with; it's who he was gambling with. So Debbie is continuing to beat you down.
The Big Chill.
The Big Chill. That was a lot of middle-aged pot smokers didn't feel ashamed. By the way, I remember. When I saw Poltergeist, and I remember I was kind of shocked to see the two, the husband and wife, the two parents, toking up, because I was like, that because my parents never. I mean, my parents were kind of old school. They were more of the. And I remember there was a. I think there's kind of a divide between. There's. Did you ever see the movie that championship season, Joe?
No,
That's
I can't remember actually.
That's about a group of kids, in the 50s who won, the basketball title. And there was because they're called, I guess they might be called the Baby Busters, because there wasn't many children born during the Depression. My father was born in 1940, and it was a 1950, the year my father graduated high school, the 1958 basketball champion. Oh, that's so great! And there's the championship season and the Big Chill, the championship season generation and the Big Chill generation, and quite different between the two. And I remember in Poltergeist when they were smoking pot. And then we're looking, by the way, at a clip of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That was so many high schoolers' favorite film.
This is a great line here.
Come on, Spicoli. Put the shirts back on.
See that thing? No shirt, no shoes, no stars.
Right. Learn it. Know it.
Live it.
Live it.
The full hot boy.
Oh yeah. Such a.
By the way, this may be, Joe, this may be a little bit off topic, but do you remember All American Burger, bro?
No.
Oh,
No.
dude. That burger was amazing.
What
Do you remember A&W?
Oh yeah, A&W.
They had a pretty damn good burger. How about Chips? The chip-shaped burger?
No.
Yeah. I just remember all these little hole in the walls that would just creep up, and maybe like when the economy dives, you'll start to see these kind of dive restaurants. The recoming back of the dive restaurant that used to open up. They used to have these little hole in the wall places, and in the 70s and 80s that I used to really enjoy, and then by the 90s they were completely gone. It's just, I don't know. I mean, you know what? Maybe it's just because as we grow older, we see these industries not around anymore. As our youth kind of passes us by. I remember my father was always complaining about things closing down. Like when my father, he was drafted. I mean, after he kind of messed up. Oh my God!
The best burger in Los Angeles.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm trying to fast, Joe. I'm trying to fast.
You might not want to watch it.
No, turn it off. Come on, you're ruining me. You're ruining me. You're ruining me.
Movie theater. Creepy old movie theater. There you go.
All right, there's the old man. Where's the man behind the mask ready to murder everybody? But go to hell. I love those burgers. And Darren says the Breakfast Club, they do get high in that as well.
They sure do.
Yeah. That's also a classic film. I like, and I miss those John Hughes films, but as I said before, I think at times is like, I think it's just generational as we see things come to pass. To a degree, I think we see our youth, and that's one of the reasons why, and I've argued this point, one of the reasons why, like people like, their old films and the way they did it back then, it's just due to the fact that people remember their youth and they want to recapture it to a degree. I think subconsciously, old films and me pining for movie theaters to come back and make a comeback. it's kind of like me pining for my youth, you know, and I want to see the youth do what I did. And that's probably not true. And maybe it's just a bunch of wishful thinking, Joe,
Yeah,
but it's what I
maybe.
wish. It's what I would like to see.
It would be interesting to see if we could maybe get back to a place and time where people actually got excited about getting together, sharing some popcorn, watching some movies. I wonder if,
Maybe we just can all get together online and just watch a movie and film it live and say, yeah, what is this shit?
yeah,
You know?
maybe if you have the nuggets to set it up, people will come.
Yeah, maybe we will. I don't know. It's like I said, it's kind of sad what's happened in this country to a degree. It's kind of sad, but like I said, it could all be wishful thinking. And Joe, I don't want to, you know what? I don't want to make this movie segment too long. I mean, if a movie drags on too long, that's when they say it starts to suck in. I think we want to end on a good note, but
Yes,
please don't let the movie theater die. You're killing part of my my
I don't think you
childhood
can
and
hear.
my.
I don't think you can hear me very well. Every time I'm talking, you keep going. So I'm not sure what happened to the sound, but we'll have to get it straight for next show. We had all kinds of streaming problems just to get started. So who knows? But man, I wanted to take some phone calls tonight. I can't believe nobody wanted to talk movies.
Nobody wanted to talk movies at all. Dazed and Confused, The Pineapple Express. I mean, these are all about pot. I think we should go into the pot film, to the drug film. Sooner or later, Joe.
Wow, so bold. But yeah, we should do that. This is I got a big theory about drugs and movies, drugs and rock and roll.
Oh, is it ended? Has it ended, Joe? Are we done?
No, we're
Okay.
still going.
All right. So yeah, I think that'll do it. I think join us again on Transparency and Merit, and like and subscribe to our channel. We talk about everything under the sun. Some of the things we say may be offensive, but here's the deal. You know what? Some of your beliefs and stuff may be offensive, but we can't get through things at this time unless we talk about it. We've just gone through a terrible crisis in this country, and I don't think this is a good time for censorship. Censorship is un-American, it's un-Western, and it's it's just it's inhumane. To be honest with you, the type of censorship.
Brian, can you hear me at all? You can't hear me.
I did.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is the movie I think Debbie was trying to mention there. Fear and Loathing was great.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, let's get out of this thing. We've been here an hour, and the sound is kind of sucky, but please subscribe. We need all the subscribers we can get, and join us again at Transparency and Merit. Anything else, Brian?
That'll do it, Joe.